For thousands of years, trade was built on barter and commodity money. Goods like cattle, grain, and shells were used for exchange. But as societies grew and trade expanded across regions, these forms of money became impractical. Carrying bags of grain or driving cattle across long distances was inefficient. Even valuable items like silver and gold had a problem. They had to be weighed and tested for purity every time they were used in a transaction. Therefore, the world needed a better solution, and that solution would change the course of history forever. Let's move forward in the timeline of money to a breakthrough that transformed trade and set the foundation for modern economies. The birth of coins, how metal became money. For centuries, people traded goods using whatever was valuable, such as grain, cattle, shells, or even salt. But as trade expanded, metal stood out from all other commodities. Unlike food, it didn't spoil. Unlike animals, it didn't require care. It was durable, portable, and could be shaped into any form. By 2500 BCE in Mesopotamia, silver had already become a trusted measure of value. Merchants carried small pieces of silver, weighing them on scales to buy and sell goods. Across the world, other civilizations followed similar ideas. In Egypt, traders exchanged gold rings and bars as payment. In China, people experimented with bronze tools and knives as early money. In India, ancient texts mention gold and silver used for trade. Metal had some clear advantages. That made it perfect for trade. Unlike grain, it didn't rot. It lasted forever. And because it was valuable in small amounts, a single piece of silver could buy an entire basket of food. Plus, it was easy to divide. If you had a lump of gold, you could cut it into smaller pieces for precise transactions. These qualities made metal the next big step in the evolution of money. But there was a major flaw. Every time metal was used in trade, it had to be weighed and tested for purity. A silver piece might look real, but it could be mixed with cheaper metals, making it untrustworthy. Every deal took time. Every transaction needed verification, making trade frustrating. Without trust, business could not grow. There had to be a better way. Something consistent and reliable. Then, in a small but ambitious kingdom, a brilliant idea emerged. An idea that changed the course of history. Around 700 BCE, in Lydia, which is modern-day Turkey, merchants and rulers found a way to make metal money faster, more reliable, and widely accepted. Instead of weighing silver or gold for every transaction, they started using small, standardized metal pieces with official stamps. These were the world's first coins. At first, these coins were made from electrum, a naturally occurring mix of gold and silver. Each coin had a fixed weight and an official mark, proving it was real and reliable. By 600 BCE, King Alyats of Lydia introduced the first government-minted coins. This was a game changer. Coins made, trade faster, easier, and more secure. Why were coins such a breakthrough? Coins changed everything. They weren't just another form of money, they were a revolution. Before coins, when people relied on metal bars, nuggets, every time someone wanted to trade, they had to weigh the metal, check its purity, and hope they weren't being scammed. Imagine how slow and frustrating that was. Coins, on the other hand, were small, stamped, and standardized, leaving no room for guesswork. No more weighing metal for every transaction. Now, when you held a coin, you knew exactly what it was worth. But trust was another issue. Back then, people could mix in cheap metals or shave off bits of gold and silver. How could you be sure you weren't getting cheated? That's where the king's stamp changed everything. A coin with the ruler's seal was a promise. that this is pure, this is real, this is money you can trust. And finally, let's not forget convenience. Carrying metal chunks was a hassle, but coins are small, valuable, and easy to carry. Suddenly, wealth was something you could put in your pocket. This wasn't just an improvement, it was a turning point in history. Trade became faster, safer, and smarter. In short, coins standardized money, made trade more trustworthy, and simplified transactions. And paving the way for the global economy we see today, the idea of coins spread rapidly. Soon, major civilizations started minting their own. Once Lydia introduced coins, the idea spread like wildfire. Because why struggle with raw metal when you could have trusted stamped money? Greece was one of the first to catch on. By 600 BCE, city-states like Athens and Sparta started minting their own coins. Athens introduced the Athenian tetradrachm, a large silver coin stamped with Athena on one side and her sacred owl on the other. It wasn't just currency, it was a statement of Athenian power. Sparta, being a military state, used iron bars, pellinors, instead of flashy gold or silver coins, believing that hard currency discouraged greed. By 500 BCE, King Darius I introduced the gold daric, a coin so well made and stable that it became one of the first true international currencies. The daric, featuring the Persian king holding a bow, was trusted from India to Egypt. Alongside it, Persia minted the silver siglos, making trade even more flexible. And then, Rome took it to another level. By 300 BCE, the Roman denarius became the backbone of the economy. This small silver coin was widely used in daily transactions and soon became the standard currency of the Roman Republic. But for major trade and military expenses, Rome introduced the aureus, a gold coin used for high-value transactions and imperial payments. Roman soldiers were paid in denarii, and as they conquered new lands, they spread Roman coinage with them. Soon, Roman money dominated trade across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. India's first coins appeared around 300 BCE under the Maurya Empire. These were punch-marked silver coins, stamped with symbols instead of a central design. Later, the Kushan Empire, 100 CE, introduced gold dinars inspired by Roman and Greek coins, showing the influence of trade. By 100 CE, coins were the universal standard. Money had finally taken a recognizable form across continents. But it wasn't just empires that spread them. One major trade network would take coins to every corner of the known world, the Silk Road. The Silk Road wasn't just one path. It was a web of trade routes stretching from China to Europe, linking civilizations through commerce. Along with silk, spices, and exotic goods, something else traveled across these routes: coins. As merchants journeyed across continents, they didn't just trade goods, they traded money itself. A Persian trader in India might pay with a gold daric, while a Roman merchant in Egypt might use a silver denarius. Over time, foreign coins were accepted in markets far from their place of origin. Persian gold darics made their way into India, where they were valued for their purity. Roman silver denarii became common in the Middle East, circulating from Judea to Egypt. Chinese silver coins found use in Central Asia, as Chinese merchants traded silk for horses and spices. For the first time in history, coins weren't just local, they were global. Traders, rulers, and markets across vast distances accepted foreign money, making coins the first truly international currency. This global system of metal money lasted for centuries. But as trade grew, even coins had limitations. Carrying large amounts of gold and silver was still inconvenient. The next major leap in money's evolution was coming: the rise of paper money. For centuries, metal coins ruled global trade. They solved the problems of barter and commodity money. creating a standardized system that allowed economies to flourish. But as markets expanded, carrying large amounts of coins became difficult. This led to another major innovation, the birth of paper currency. How did people start trusting money that had no metal value? And how did paper replace coins as the dominant form of money? In the next episode, we explore the next great revolution, the rise of paper money. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through the timeline of trade and money, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more fascinating episodes, hit the bell icon so you never miss the next chapter in history. See you in the next one.